Hello, hello. Today we will be wrapping up our series this week. Today we're going to be talking about the globalization of mathematics, specifically in trying to answer the question of how and when did mathematics become secularized? When did the spirituality get removed from mathematics? And we've been all over time and space this week, starting with the history of mathematics spanning back to ancient times. Humans started counting, then measuring things, and then proving things in the abstract. Mathematicians became precious political resources, progressing their nations scientifically and technologically in the pursuit of power. As recently as the late 1800s, early 1900s, there are clear examples of nationally siloed mathematical styles. Italy was known for its proficiency in the field of algebraic geometry, a branch of mathematics where algebra techniques are used to solve geometrical problems. But when I say that the mathematics was siloed, I mean that the Italian algebraic geometers did not communicate with algebraic geometers in other nations. And it wasn't just the language barrier that they were speaking Italian. They literally approached the field in a completely different way than everyone else, and they were unable to exchange their ideas with non-Italian mathematicians. And by the mid 1900s, these silos were beginning to formally break it down. The notion that mathematicians should be coaxed and hoarded by nations in order to grow their power was slowing down. Mathematicians were speaking up, and what they desired was an international forum to exchange and share mathematical ideas and developments. The world itself was flattening. It was easier than ever to travel across the world and easier than ever to transmit information. What was occurring was a backlash to how heavily politicized mathematics had become over the last few centuries. Some mathematicians were finding their ideas ill received in their own countries, and finding somebody who researches what you do can be rare in mathematics. And if the mathematicians you wanted to collaborate with were from a country that was at odds with yours, then you were out of luck. The goal was a noble one and a sensible one. It served mathematical progress and promoted international communication and collaboration. And the people fighting for this got their wish. And in 1897, the first International Congress of Mathematicians was held. It had to be held in a politically neutral site, so of course it was in Switzerland. And the International Congress of Mathematicians, or ICM, was a success, and the second one was held in Paris a few years later. Here, the unbelievably influential mathematician David Hilbert mapped out what he described as the most pressing and most important unsolved mathematical problems uh, they were currently facing. And we still talk about these problems today and call them the Hilbert Problems. He also called for an emphasis on foundations, structures, and a strictly logical approach to mathematics. And the international community was receptive to this. The more we could focus on concrete logical math, the more easily we could communicate across languages and across international borders. And mathematics would grow as a field with all of the efforts combined of all of the mathematicians in the world. Wonderful. And that is how we've achieved the global mathematical harmony that we have today. It didn't happen right away, of course. This was 1900, and international politics and international mathematics were going to get bumpy in the coming decades. There was World War One, World War Two, and these events delayed the international standardization of mathematics as a field. By 1962, the 14th International Congress of Mathematics, um, by the 14th International Congress of Mathematics, the field had kind of settled into what it is today. And this really was our inflection point, going back to our essential question. Hilbert's efforts to unify mathematics globally also secularized it. Mathematics had been steeped in religion and spirituality and philosophy for all of its history. But mathematicians wanted to unite globally under one banner, and they were tired of politics getting in the way of their efforts. Religious, spiritual, and philosophical beliefs are very sensitive political topics. So if mathematicians wanted to make their field global, they would have to wipe out the unsavory parts that would cause arguments. The globalization of mathematics came with a compromise, similar to a Thanksgiving dinner table. In order to ensure harmony, the religion and the politics had to be removed from the conversation. And the field of mathematics was pulled away from its roots in spirituality, theology, philosophy, and religion, becoming the mathematics that we know today. Huh. Oh man, what a ride that was. And I think we got there. A satisfactory answer to how did mathematics become secularized? And it took an entire history of mathematics run down from ancient times to the 1960s in order to get there. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll have a chat on Monday, and then next week we will embark on another journey together. So that's all for today's video. Today's video cites the Oxford Handbook of the History of Mathematics, specifically chapter 1.4 by Aaron Hunger Parshall.